San Diego Christian College Parenting Online. You know, we started this new semester and parents across the country were hoping that things would be changing, but unfortunately, a lot of us are still back at home struggling with online learning alongside our kids. Many are balancing working from home and trying to do virtual learning. So today joining me is a panel of amazing educators. I'm so excited because as a parent, I need all the tips I can get. So make sure that if you aren't following San Diego Christian College already, make sure that you're following them and share this video with your friends. It's going to be on the website so you can share it with everyone. And then if you have a question or tip for us, make sure that you message us in the social media as well. So let me go ahead and introduce everyone for us. Joining us from San Diego Christian College is Dr. Kevin Corsini. Dr. Corsini, welcome.
Thank you so much. Great to be here again today.
And Dr. Corsini is the president of San Diego Christian College, and he has consulted with some of the largest online education programs in America. And this was before COVID. And he's also been a residential and online instructor for 10 years. He's helped build one of the largest online schools in America with 94,000 students.
Yes. Thanks so much. I'm so glad we are here today. Looking forward to talking to the folks who are here, whether you're a parent or an educator. It's going to be a good day together.
And then we have Dana Moen joining us. He has spent 25 years in public education as a teacher, coach, and now as the principal for Classical Academy High School in Escondido, California. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
And I'm excited to hear from you because you're passionate about helping parents figure out what their goals are for their children and then helping their kids achieve success.
Absolutely. I've had a little bit of experience with my own kids and lots of high schoolers that have come through. So I'm excited to share.
And last but certainly not least is Marlena Smith. Marlena and I worked together for several summers at Kids Across America camps. She was the women's director there and I got to be her assistant women's director. So I always joke that when we were at camp, neither one of us was married or had kids yet, but I always said I wanted my kids to be in Marlena's classroom because she always had the best examples, the best activities for all of our campers. And it's no surprise to me that she won Teacher of the Year last year at her school in Houston. And she is the pod leader on her campus at Yellowstone Academy and has led professional development on classroom management and student success. So welcome, Marlena, all the way from Houston, Texas.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Can now.
I'm so excited to be with you all today. I am so excited to help parents figure this thing out and help their students gain success. Let's go.
Well, with that, we're going to jump right in. You know, it's a new year, a new outlook. Everyone was hoping that things would be different. Kevin, what is one thing that parents can do to really help set a new attitude or outlook for this semester?
Yeah, going back to what you said, I think everyone was hoping that, hey, we get to the fall and everything will get back to normal. We got to the fall, it wasn't back to normal. We were looking to the holidays. Let's just get through the holidays, and then guess what? We're back into January. We're heading into February, and we're right back where we were this time last year. So as parents, the question is, what can we do? Whether you're an educator or a parent or administrator, I think one thing to remember is that we're all in this together. We're all trying to work through this learning curve together. I know there are parents out there who feel very alone, may feel lost or discouraged. Know that, hey, we are all of us, regardless of what seat you're in, what hat you're wearing, we're all struggling through this together. And so the one thing I think I would have for parents as we think about creating structure for our students, monitoring the emotional climate of the home, is recess is back. When I was growing up as a kid, recess was a huge part of my day. I loved recess. We had morning recess, afternoon recess, huge lunch recess. And as parents, guess what? We have control of our day. We can create structure for our kids. And in my mind, recess is back. And as somebody who's working at home as an adult, recess is back, right? So I'm putting that on my calendar for me. So I know I'm working at home, 10 o'clock in the morning, I get recess. Lunchtime, I'm going to eat and I'm going to have recess. Afternoon, it gives me as an adult something to look forward to. And I know for our kids as well, it's an automatic decompression spot throughout our day. So I'm going to encourage everyone, Bring recess back to your day, whether you're an adult, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a student. We need those moments in our day where we get to get outside, play, have fun, decompress a little, re-regulate, and it puts us in a much better mental state when we go back to our learning. So that's my one thing for today. Recess is back.
Okay, but with that, what was your favorite recess game growing up? Around the horn. Kevin, you go
Kickball.
first.
Kickball.
Kickball.
Kickball was
What if-
awesome. I can't play kickball at home though. I've broken lamps, the kids will go crazy, that sort of thing. But we can play kickball outside. You can do that in the cul-de-sac, out on the street, in the yard. Kickball was the best.
What about you, Dana?
Oh, I hope I can say this here, but what comes to mind is a game called Butts Up. You guys remember that, where you throw the ball against the wall? I liked that as a kid.
What about you, Marlena? What was your favorite recess game?
Oh my goodness, tag never gets old. There are so many types of ways you can play tag. I always say celebrate what you want to see more of. Have fun in the learning day. Same great idea as the other fella said here. You want to make sure that you're being active. That helps your brain and your function throughout the day for sure.
Awesome. Now, some people have been laid off. And Marlena, we're going to have you answer this one. Some people have been laid off. Others have had to quit their jobs. I met a mom a couple weeks ago at an event, and she said she had to quit her job because all three of her kids are older and they're doing virtual learning. Some parents are learning geometry for the first time as they teach it. We can all agree that this year has brought a lot of challenges. What are some practical things that parents can do to go from surviving to really thriving?
Thank you so much for this question. The first thing is, I want to tell all parents, you're surviving, but you're also thriving. You have everything you need to get through this. Just think about it. The school year is almost halfway over. Some of the things that are so important are your daily routines, starting off with gratefulness. What makes you happy in the morning? Is it gratefulness? Is it doing an exercise? You have to get up and eat breakfast. These are some simple things that we really forget about throughout the day, but they're so important to how our day starts off. So first of all, starting there, don't forget about breakfast. Eat a healthy breakfast. Something I love to do with my online students is do a theme dress up day. So don't just get up and put on an old sweatshirt or something. Have a theme for the day. Make it fun for your children as they're getting up to start virtual learning. Something else, you have to have a tray of goodies, of course. Have a tray of goodies of healthy snacks. Put them out throughout the day. And of course, most parents don't know about brain breaks. So what's a brain break? It's when you just take a moment away from learning. You go outside, you take a walk, even play with your pet for a few minutes to just get out of the mindset of learning for a moment. And this is something really practical that I love to do with my online students. I just cross my arms. Just cross your arms because you're crossing pretty much your right and left brain. Hey, so those are definitely some practical steps. Don't forget, students really want two things. They want to be seen and heard. Make sure you're being their encourager throughout the day. If there was a tough, challenging assignment, hey, you did it. You got through it. Way to go. Be proud. We're almost done for today. Also, when school is over, it's over. Turn the laptop off, relax, take deep breaths, and celebrate the day.
I love that brain break idea because, some of the parents I've talked to, especially when you're getting to junior high school age, they're in their back-to-back Zoom classes for almost 4 to 5 hours at a time. And so, as a parent, that is so important to help your kids regulate that brain break. Otherwise, they get, a brain freeze from being in front of the computer. Now, Dana, you're a parent, but you're also a principal. And so according to a recent study, in San Diego Unified showed that more than 1,000 high school students failed at least one class this fall compared to last year, which is astounding. About 26% of high school students failed at least one class at the end of the first quarter this year compared to only 21% last year around the same time. How can your parenting goal How can your parenting goal will have a tremendous having a parenting goal can have a tremendous impact on the way you support your children through school, whether they attend a traditional program or complete distance program?
Yeah, well, as I think of all those students that have failed, it just might be time for recess for some of them. So I like the recess and the brain break. But I like, as you mentioned earlier, I really like to talk about what is our goal as a parent. You know, I've had 3 teens come through high school. 2 of them have graduated. 1 is still here. But I always like to talk to the parents as their kids come into high school. Hey, what is your goal for your student by the time they graduate or by the time they leave the home? And I've seen such drastically different parenting styles based on what does that parent want to accomplish for their student. And some of them, it's to earn straight A's. They want their student to earn straight A's. They want them to get in like this prestigious Ivy League university. They have to get an athletic scholarship. And they parent a certain way. So when they see those F's, they're going to react a certain way. Another group of parents, their goal is to raise a competent and capable, resilient, independent adult, able to make healthy choices. And they parent in a completely different way. So I would like to not focus on the grades as much as a parent and focus on the growth, focus on the learning. I was just thinking that we had a big playoff football game a year or 2 ago, and we were getting beat really, really bad. And I saw one of my captains on the team as a senior. He was running around to the different players on our team, and he kept saying this. He kept saying, sometimes we win, sometimes we learn. Sometimes we win, sometimes we learn. I didn't know where he got it. I was so impressed. And he was encouraging his teammates by saying, hey, man, we're learning through this. So I know I didn't give you a lot of practical things. There's a couple articles I would like to share along with this video if I can. One is called The 4 Phases of Parenthood, and one is called Stop Doing These 8 Things If You Want to Raise an Adult. One of those things, I'll only go into one, is how do you help your student advocate for themselves? Don't advocate for your student. You shouldn't be the one emailing the teacher. You shouldn't be the one calling the teacher. How do you help your student advocate for themselves? So you got to think about what your goal is, and that's going to help determine your course of action.
I like that a lot. And I think that's something, right now everyone is in the thick of it and they're just trying to get through the day or get to the end of the year or when the situation changes. But I think exactly what you're saying is we have to think through some of those goals from a parenting aspect, and then also and then even having your student write down some of their goals, because your student's goals might be completely different than what you were thinking.
Very true.
You mentioned coaching. When I coached, it was so funny. I had parents that, I coached freshmen in high school softball, and some of the parents were just dead set on their kids going to college on an athletic scholarship. And I just had to break it down to them that the amount of scholarships that are given for women's softball is very slim. And so I really wanted to encourage them for their kids to pursue their academic. I said, your kids actually have a higher chance of getting an academic scholarship than an athletic scholarship. And it was like this, paradigm shift for them because they didn't realize that. And all the while, most of the girls didn't even want to go play college softball. So I think that's a great example of making sure, especially when they get to the high school age, when they're looking at different colleges, what their academic goal and personal goals are. Well, awesome. One of the things we had talked about before, and I'm going to have everybody answer this one. What are you guys doing practically? Many families are functioning out of the same space. And what are some things that you have seen or that you're personally doing that might help others out? Let's start with you, Dr. Corsini.
Well, I'll do two things. I know you're asking for one, but in higher ed, a lot of times the online learning is asynchronous. And I know that some environments are asynchronous where people can log in whenever they want. And what I found is that learners need structure. And so, it's nice to have the flexibility, but whether you're working through a graduate degree or you're in 5th grade, structure is good. And so identifying a place, where is it that you're going to learn? And it could be Starbucks. Well, Starbucks isn't open right now. It could be the living room, but finding a place or 2 or 3 spaces, a space that's dedicated. Hey, this is where I know that I go to learn. And if you're asynchronous times that hey, I use 9 o'clock at night or 2 in the afternoon, or first thing in the morning. Identify times and build that structure into your lifestyle. So where you're going to learn, what times you're going to go to learn. And for students younger, what I'm seeing makes a big difference is how they dress, that you dress for the day. Just because it was already referenced earlier today, just because you're at home and you can learn in your pajamas doesn't mean that you need to be learning in your pajamas. So you get dressed and you prepare yourself for the day. And so, and that lends itself some structure. And then the second thing I think related to that is just being mindful of the emotional climate for learning. When a student starts, the emotional climate in a home is contagious. And so whenever there's frustration or anger, that moves through the home. So if you have parents who are working from home and might get frustrated, that spreads easily. And so I think we have to be mindful of that. And as parents, whether we're helping to teach our students, whether we're working from home, whether we're watching younger kids, we are the thermostat of the house. And we need to be aware of the emotional climate of our kids as they're trying to learn, because they will not learn if it's too hot or too cold, right? And so we need to be a thermostat and be aware and then regulate that for our students. That's on us. We're responsible to regulate the temperature, the emotional climate of the home. That leads to the best learning outcomes.
That's great. How about you, Marlena?
Headphones, headphones, headphones. Make sure you have headphones, comfortable headphones for your children to wear as they're learning. Also, to go off of what Dr. Corsini said, set the tone of the home. If they get up and maybe something happened and their emotional state has changed, it affects their entire day of learning. So just making sure that wherever they are, it's calm. Also, something I like to tell my students, turn the lights down a little bit, create a serene atmosphere. You don't have to have blazing bright lights all of the time for learning. And then the last thing is just let them know that you support them in their learning day, and that makes a difference.
Love it. What about you, Dana?
My own personal experience is when we all had the lockdown back in March, we had 5 working out of our own home. We were all either teaching or doing school. And I learned right away personally that I couldn't do it in a space with other people. So kind of my office space was actually right next to the kitchen, and that didn't work. Like whether it's my kids just, doing the dishes or whatever, I could not work there. So I literally found a sofa table, those long, skinny tables that are just up against a wall or a sofa. I took off all the decorations. I brought it back to my bedroom and I put it against the window, and I closed my door and I said, guys, don't come in here while I'm working. So we kind of all just found, I know not everybody has their own space in their house, but I had to find my own space. And when that wasn't available, I would literally just go outdoors. So that was for me personally. I realized I could not work around other people. So I had to find my own private space.
Yeah, I got to say, I've really enjoyed working outdoors too during the pandemic. When I've been at home, I've been a number of times. That's been quite refreshing. I'm hoping to hold on to that one when everything goes back to normal.
Yes, that is a good tip. I have little people, so I'm kind of the opposite of Dana. I have to have my little ones in the room when I'm on work calls often, unless I have help here at the house. But initially, when the pandemic started, the first 4 or 5 months, we didn't have any help. But something that I did is I communicated that to my teammates that I was on Zoom with, and just saying, hey, you might see a little person running by. I always tried to set them up, obviously off camera, with a game or an app that they were doing for their learning stuff. But my tip to parents would be, don't feel shame about that. Communicate that to the team, because that releases that tension. You don't feel guilty about it. The team knows, there might be noise, or maybe while you have to turn the camera off for a little bit to help people. I think, especially for working parents, as much as you can communicate those things, we can be supportive of one another. And it's, again, it's, it's cliche, but we're all in this together. And so if people know that, then they're going to be more understanding.
And also, I've noticed with parents in the room, it's really comforting if there's a connection problem or an issue with the laptop. It helps the students get back on track faster. So being in the room, it might be a small space, but it's helpful to have the parent working as well as the student working in the same room.
Yes.
With those headphones. I didn't use the headphone trick. That's why I had to isolate.
And this one is a little more serious. Again, this came out in that study that I looked at, but I know this is not unique to San Diego. This is happening all across the country. And as educators and parents, everyone's concerned about the mental health of students because the pandemic isn't just affecting their grades. What are some safeguards or advice that you guys have for parents as they gauge their own students' mental health?
I think as parents, we got to check in with our students, whether that's daily, weekly. We need to ask the honest questions of how are you doing? What are you struggling with? Again, I think that's something that falls to parents, and maybe in ways that we haven't had to in the past. But I would say that we need to have open lines of communication, anticipating that our students are struggling, and create a safe environment where not only they can talk about it, but we pursue that conversation. We pursue, hey, how are you doing? What are you struggling? What can we do at the home that would make this better for you, and invite them into a conversation to make things better for them. But I think that's a parent-led conversation that needs to happen regularly.
One of my favorite strategies that I use in my classroom and with my own family is called the HALT strategy. It's HALT. And there are 4 questions you want to ask your student or look for when you're trying to gauge really how are they feeling in a day. The H stands for, are you hungry? Do you need something else to eat? Just asking them that. The A stands for, are you angry about something? Like, what's going on? You can kind of tell in their body language if they're really angry. So are you angry about something? Just simply asking them. The L stands for, are you lonely? Maybe they've been social media rejected or something. So they're feeling a little lonely. And then the T stands for, are you tired? Just really gauging how your student is feeling, depending on what has happened the day before, during the night, or when they got up in the morning. It's called the HALT strategy. So I always ask that. And then it allows the student to self-assess. So they can say, yeah, I am upset about that. Or, you know what, I do need a little more to eat. So it helps.
Yeah, some of us are just hangry.
Yeah, that's all really good. I guess for me, guys, I go back so often to what I've learned personally in my own life. And what I've been trying to reiterate to my own kids and my entire high school community here is how intricately connected our mind and our bodies are. Our minds aren't going to be right if our bodies aren't right. So the healthier I've learned to eat, the better I feel. So what I put in impacts how I feel. It impacts my mental health. And then also my physical activity just greatly impacts my mental health. The amazing thing of what we're dealing with now is we have more time, and being outdoors is one of the safest places we can be. So being in the sunshine, walking, hiking, biking, surfing, I've made a commitment to move every single day for myself, and that just greatly impacts my mental health. So one thing I did as a principal, we have a lot of clubs at Classical Academy High School. I think we have 26 clubs, but I've always wanted to have an outdoor adventure club, and nobody wanted to start it. So I told the students, hey, I'll be the advisor if somebody starts it. And we had 4 freshman girls say, yeah, we'll go. And so we've mostly had 4 freshman girls in the club most of the year. And sometimes other people will join us, but we do a physical activity every 2 weeks, and we invite the community to come, whether it's biking or hiking or going to the beach. So I think we have to move.
I love it. That's a great tip, a great reminder. Because I think sometimes, we're just trying to keep our heads above water and get through the syllabus or whatever the student has for the assignment. I've had to remind myself that, my kids are like, Mom, can we go for a scooter ride or a bike ride? And not being afraid to maybe even take that lesson. We took our lesson the other day to the park and we did our worksheet, and then they did laps on their bikes around the park, and then they came back and did a couple more problems. So getting creative with it too. Now, the other thing I want to add to that question too is you guys are all faith-based educators. And so spiritually speaking, how can we speak truth and love and God's love into that mental health as well?
Well, I always encourage families to pray together. Start your day in prayer. If you're all going to be home together, pray together, right? Start your day in prayer together. Never hesitate to pray for a student if they're struggling. If they are, use the HALT method, and they're angry or lonely or tired, just say, "Hey, let's stop and pray about that." To pray over our kids, pray for them. Invite the Spirit into the home. We should be responsible at leading our family spiritually, and inviting prayer to the home, I think, is a big part of that. And just recognize that we can pray for each other when we struggle. And this is a season where we are all struggling. So we should be modeling that prayer for one another in the home.
Yeah, I love that. I can jump in there next. And, I'm at a charter school, so I'm not a faith-based educator per se as a public charter school principal. But in my own family, I would agree with Dr. Corsini on the prayer, but I've just really tried to focus on scripture and the truth of scripture. And, all my kids are teens or a couple are in college now. And so we have a family text group. So we try to encourage each other through texting throughout the day. And I try to often share scripture with my family, with my own kids. So that's really helped us.
Affirmations and more affirmations. Just once again, taking a break to remember the why. Why are we here? Why has God called us here during this time? Togetherness means a lot. And as a parent, as well as an educator, just continuing to remember that even though we're in this pandemic, we have to build our children up, build our students up. And just give them hope. That's really what we all need. Just hope to keep going and not give up. It's that simple.
Love it. Those are all great things. Marlena, what daily, weekly celebrations can parents put into place to build students' confidence and celebrate their academic success?
So this is my favorite question. Okay, so once again, we want to celebrate what we want to see more of. Sticky notes, get Post-it notes, post student success, post goal posters around the house, maybe even take a picture of your scholar if they excel on a test, if they excel on an assignment. Let your whole family know about it and call them and say, "You did an amazing job, way to go." That would touch their heart. Set up celebration movie nights. I mean, come on, some popcorn or almonds or nuts, something very nutritious, and have a celebration movie night and let them pick. What about an immediate family barbecue? Maybe at the end of the 9 weeks, when their report cards or their assessments are coming back and you're seeing success, we always want to remember, celebrate growth. Not just grades, but growth. Also, create your own family certificates. Maybe they get to pick what they get to eat that week for a lunch or breakfast, or order takeout, celebration takeout. Take a family celebration jog or walk. Go to the beach. Why not? Have a picnic to celebrate. Also, something else. Have a Zoom celebration party. Have them invite their friends to celebrate success in a specific class. All of those are celebrations.
I love it. See, I told you, even before I had kids, I knew I wanted my kids to be in Miss Smith's class because she always comes up with all these amazing ideas.
Yes. Thank you.
Dana, as a high school principal and parent, what are positive takeaways you have seen for students and or families because of this sudden shift in distance learning?
Sorry about that, guys. Thanks for the signal. I love that question, and I want to tie in something Marlena said about hope. I just found this on my wall, and I think it's such an important word. And I know that there's actually research that shows that students and children that thrive in school and outside of school, it's directly related to how much hope they have. And that hope is often related to a connection they have, often with an adult in a school community. So I always think about that here at Classical Academy High School, and I try to get kids connected maybe outside of the classroom with an adult. But what are some of those amazing takeaways I've seen during distance learning? Gosh, families are hanging out more together. There's just less outside activities, so families are spending more time together. They're eating dinner more together. They're hiking, biking, as I've mentioned. They're watching Netflix together. Yes, it's Netflix, but they're doing it together. My family's devoured several seasons of different things, but we do it as a tradition. Both of my daughters have started separate businesses, and they market it on Instagram. One is a baking business, and the other is a crafting business. So they're creating, they're earning money. And I've seen other high school students create businesses too. We have a student here that's created a very, very thriving tutoring business. And it started with tutoring students here, but they're tutoring outside. So starting a business, I know more high school students working than ever before. More of them have jobs. More of them are earning a paycheck. And they're learning skills through that. So they actually, whereas in the past, they didn't have time to work. They were going from one activity to the next, to the next, to the next. They're actually making money now, and they're essential employees out there. And then I think the last thing, well, one thing before the last thing, travel. I'm seeing more families travel together since learning is asynchronous or synchronous online. I've seen a lot of families go out of town, get away together. And the last thing, and I think Dr. Corsini will be really, really excited that I say this, is this. We have more high school students than ever before taking concurrent enrollment classes at college. Whatever college that is, if it's the local community college, San Diego Christian College, wherever, we have more kids enrolling in college courses, again, because they have more time. And not only enrolling in college courses, applying for college and thinking about their future. Bad side is a lot of seniors have given up on high school. They've given up on the excitement of their senior year, and in their mind, they're so focused on their future. And I see that as a positive takeaway from this time, is they're more excited than ever to go to college and work towards their career. So that's been exciting to see. And I'll add to that, we all, even with the things that have been taken away, we still live in a tremendous land of opportunity, a tremendous land of freedom. We have so many things to be thankful here for in America. Even in California, there's things that we can do with our lives. We can't let this stop us from moving forward.
Two things he said I want to piggyback on. One is that it's fascinating what you say about high school students working, because my son is a junior in high school, and he started two businesses during the pandemic. One is a moving company, he and a friend, and they essentially are labor, right? They help people move, and they're charging like $40 an hour. There's just these two high school kids, and they're killing it. I mean, they get booked up every week. Just two good kids that play, high school. We're playing high school football, and now they've got a company. They're hiring their friends as employees and making money off.
I love it.
I never knew this about my son. It's like there's a whole side of him, coming to life. And then he started just recently a painting business where he sent me a picture. Hey, Dad, I got this job. I'm painting now, $50 an hour. I'm like, you're earning $50 an hour.
What?
Do you even know how to paint? Like, when I'd never taught him how to paint a room or anything like that. He goes, yeah, me and my buddy, we're painting now. And like you said, he plays football, he plays lacrosse, he's wrestling. He never would have had time for this, but now he's doing well in school, and he's this whole other aspect of his life is coming to life just because of the availability. And you're right, there is opportunity, and he's, he and his buddies are seizing on it. Hey, we can do this. Let's start these different businesses. And the other thing I want to say is that we have seen concurrent enrollment. If high school kids aren't starting their businesses, they are taking classes at the colleges, and our concurrent enrollments are through the roof right now, which is encouraging to see.
Awesome.
And that's something, one of the reasons that San Diego Christian College wanted to host this webinar is to just encourage parents to look at those opportunities, take advantage of the resources. If your junior or senior high school student has extra time on their hands to, kick out a college course and be able to do that. So thank you, San Diego Christian College, for hosting this awesome webinar, free resource for parents. We have been focusing so much on the parent to student aspect, but I want you guys to speak into the parent to parent or parent to peer aspect. What is one word of advice that you can, give the importance of connection to other parents during this time? When you're in regular schools, that I know as a parent myself, that's one of the things I miss, a drop off, connecting with the other parents. What piece of advice or what wisdom do you have for other parents as to connect with other parents during this time?
Yeah, I was going to say, don't assume that your friends are all just doing amazing. I think it's safe to assume that, hey, we're all struggling through this together. And I've known some parents who are hesitant to share, hey, I'm struggling, this is really hard. Again, going back to the mental health aspect, feel free to find friends that you can share your struggles with, and seek out best practices. Feel free to ask other moms or dads, hey, what's working for you? What are you doing that maybe I could do? I'm struggling in this area. This is a season of life in our country where we really need each other. And I think being intentional to reach out and make those connections, support one another, and be transparent and be a little vulnerable, because again, we're all going through this together. And there aren't many people right now who are just like absolutely doing outstanding. It's like we are all struggling through this together, and it should be okay for us to struggle through it.
Oops. So many people have been doing the drive-by parades, things like that. Don't forget, you can always get in your car and connect with people. Maybe in your neighborhood, there's a large park where you all can do some kind of circular gathering where you can see each other, just meet up as parents and talk. Once again, just have ideas going back and forth, but just once again, get together to connect. Another thing, you can also just remember to pray for one another. That's a definite way to just connect and let people know you're thinking about them. Text them, call them, see what others need. Sometimes it's not necessarily the academics. Maybe it's a parent needs help with errands being run because they have more children than you. Just remembering to reach out. Call family members who can assist and also help as well.
Yeah, it's so important. At least in my community here, one way that parents connect is through Facebook. It's there's good and there's bad to Facebook, but I know they have parent chats where they connect, and sometimes they connect with me that way. And then with the technology that we have, I meet with my parents every 2 weeks in kind of this parent coffee chat format. And that's just a great place for parents to connect with each other and with school administrators as well. And that's blown up. I used to have maybe 12 people that came once a month, and now I have over 40 that come every other week. So that's been a cool place to connect.
Also, I want parents to remember to reach out to school counselors. Sometimes we forget that resource. So call your school counselors. If your student is preparing for college or their next step, call the school counselor. Also, if they're having just difficulty kind of dealing with the pandemic, call and set up appointments. They're willing and waiting to meet with you or your student.
Yes, love it. All great advice. As we wrap up our time together, are there any parting words that you guys want to share with the audience?
The only other thing I would want to say is share with your kids. I think a lot of times we want to be strong. We want to be the rock, right? We want to be the stabilizing force in the home. And I think our kids can learn a lot from us, for us to just share. This is hard for me too. I'm really struggling with work or helping you, or this is all different. And just being really open with your kids, I think creates an environment where it develops empathy in them, and then also invites them into, hey, how can we do this together? Because this is hard on me too. And we want to do this well together. And I think that leads to a greater degree of resilience for the family, particularly coming out of this pandemic, whether that's 6 months from now or a year from now. I think we come out stronger for it.
Look at the beauty in the challenge. Once again, I want parents to remember to just look at the beauty in the challenge. As parents, we're getting more time with our children. We're cooking more at home. It's just togetherness. It's the time to be on our knees asking the Lord for help. And just remembering we can do this, all things through Christ.
That's so good, guys. My final words are this pandemic has impacted us all so differently. And just to kind of have grace for everybody, including the teachers out there. There's this sense that some people think that they're not working as hard because they're at home, but in fact, I've talked to all my teachers and they're working harder than ever before. They're striving harder than ever before to reach our students and taking care of their own kids at the same time. So I think it's just important to have grace with everybody and understand that we're all just doing the very best that we can.
Awesome. Thank you each so much for sharing all of your wisdom with us. And again, thank you, San Diego Christian College, for hosting this today. Please, if you like what you heard, share this with other parents, because we know that no one has it all together, and we know that we can all benefit from sharing with one another. So don't be afraid to share that link on social media. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.